Salve. In this video, we're going to learn about perfect tense. First, let's address the question of what perfect tense is by comparing it to the imperfect tense, which is the other past tense that we've learned. Imperfect tense is used to show incomplete action in the past, so something that was still happening and hadn't stopped yet. For example, we might have dormiebat, which we know is imperfect because of that bat ending. It means she was sleeping. At the time you're discussing in the past, this was still happening. Perfect tense, on the other hand, is used to show complete action, something that has happened, rather than something that was happening. So if you had the perfect tense form dormiwit, and we'll talk about how to form that later, it would mean she has slept. Okay, let's look at the endings for this tense. The good news for this tense is that these endings are very easy to deal with. They are I, isti, it, imus, istis, and erunt. So let's add them to a verb. We'll use narrare, which means to tell and is a first conjugation verb. What is new about the perfect tense is that we will use the third principal part to form it. So we'll take that third principal part, drop the I ending, and we get our stem. Then we add the other endings there. So we have narawi, narawisti, narawit, narawimus, narawistis, and narawerunt. As you can see, the third principal part is the first person singular perfect tense form, and the other forms are just based off of that one. The English meanings of these will be I have told, you have told, he or she has told, we have told, you have told, and they have told. By the way, we could also say they told or they did tell for this tense, but we won't translate it as they were telling. That's exclusively for imperfect tense. Okay, let's see another example. Kuro kurure is a third conjugation verb that means to run. The third principal part is kukuri, so again, we'll drop the ending, add the new endings, and we get kukuri, kukuristi, kukurit, kukurimus, kukuristis, and kukurerunt. The fact that this is a different conjugation is not important. We still use the same endings and add them to the third principal part. In English, this will mean I ran, you ran, he or she ran, we ran, you ran, and they ran. Of course, we could also say I have run and you have run, etc. So that's how we form perfect tense. The good news is that we use the same endings in the same process for every verb in the entire language with no exceptions whatsoever. The bad news is that we have to use the third principal parts of verbs to do that, and those can be a bit random. There are some common patterns, so let's see a few of those. Spectare is a first conjugation verb. Usually verbs in this conjugation will have a V in them in the third principal part. So we get spectavi as the third principal part for this verb. For amare, we get amawi. But there are some random ones in this conjugation, such as dare. Third principal part is dedi. Movere is second conjugation. In second conjugation, we'll commonly see third principal parts with just an I, so here we have movi. For habere, we have habui with a U added, which is also common. And for manere, we have an S added, so we have mansi. Third conjugation is predictably unpredictable. For some verbs like fugere, we have just an I, so we get fugi. For mittere, we get misi, and for premere, we get presi. S's are fairly common in the third principal part, sometimes with one S and sometimes with two. For trahere, we get traxi with an X, which is very common. Petere becomes petui, though a V is not particularly common for third conjugation verbs. Rapere becomes rapui by adding a U. Some verbs have a vowel change earlier in the word, such as capere becoming kepi. Usually that vowel change involves an A or an I turning into an E. Some words change to have a repeated consonant sound, such as credere becoming credidi. And some of these are just completely random, like the verb tolere becoming sostuli. In fourth conjugation, some of these end with just an I, so venire becomes veni. Quite a few of these will have a V in them, so audire becomes audivi. A few of them will have a U, such as aperire becoming aperui. Okay, now let's take a look at sum. As you can see, the principal parts appear to be random here. However, it's not hard to deal with. As I said before, every verb in the language will use the same principal parts and follow the same rules, even sum. So, to form this in the perfect tense, we'll take that third principal part and change it around. So we get fui, fuisti, fuit, fuimus, fuistis, and fuerunt. In English, these will mean I have been, you have been, he or she has been, we have been, you have been, and they have been. That's it. Okay, that is it for perfect tense. Let me know if you have any questions. Wale.